future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
It's time for the Bonnie Sher Show, a whirlwind of wit, wisdom, celebrity, and the boomer life. With a little bit of this and a lot of that and so much more you don't want to miss, here's Bonnie.
Well, hello there, and thanks for dropping by and joining us. I'm your host, Bonnie Sher, and I'm here to guide you through the worlds of the entertainment industry, of the great boomer generation, and of course, type 1 diabetes. So thank you for tuning in, and please feel free to call in. Our call-in number is 323-843-2826, or you can tweet the hashtag BShareRadio. That's #BShareRadio on Twitter. Before we get this show on the road, I'd like to acknowledge jazz great Wayne Cobbin for composing my super duper hero theme song. Thank you, Wayne. And also, I'd like to shout out to Corey Bone of Crown and Anchor Jewelry. You can visit Crown and Anchor Jewelry on SD.com for more information on the pieces which he allows me to wear in exchange for this promotional message. When we come back, author of Joy Lansing, A Body to Die For, Alexis Hunter.
Your life story is more than the things you do. It's a story built on the moments you make today and the impact you have on others. How big is your story going to be? Live your legend.
And we're back. Alexis, are you with us?
I certainly am, Bonnie. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure right now of speaking with Alexis Hunter, a phenomenal writer, if I must say. And I can say now that I've read her book, which is entitled Joy Lansing, A Body to Die For. So let's go back to the welcome, Alexis. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you, Bonnie?
I am strong and happy. Anytime I sit in this chair, my world is all good. So I'm guaranteed Thursday from 2 to 3, Pacific Daylight Standard, all those times. And when I get to speak with someone like you, you know, I feel that. Here, I want to hold up the book. Here, this is my. I could have been one of those models who do, like, you know. But
I absolutely
you'll just have to take my word for that until I send you the video. I wouldn't make it bad, I promise. All right, I don't want to fool around too much because there's so much to get to, but you do know I like a good Josh. This book, talk about a labor of love. I don't want to give away too much of the story. I'm going to leave that to you, Alexis. So if you would, Would you please share with our listeners a little bit of background on how you came to write this book, this wonderful book, Joy Lansing, A Body to Die For?
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. My gosh, it's hard to explain, but I knew for quite a while that Joy was not going to be with me for very long, and so I held on to every memory that I had with her.
That's one of the things that really amazed me is you write in such detail. And if there are listeners who don't realize, Miss Lansing passed away how many years ago now?
God, 44, I think. She died in 1972.
Your memories are so crisp and so detailed. Yet I don't see a lot of extra words. I see and read. I was with that story all the way through, and
Thank you.
As
Bonnie.
as a writer, no matter what your topic would have been, you're a phenomenal writer. And the story, and of course, I cry when the second car runs out of platform 8. Remember that, do you?
I will.
Something tells me you and I met at Cyrano's. If you live in the Los Angeles area, my boomers, it's very possible that as you read the book, you're going to remember so many places, times and things that was happening in that 4-year time span. I mean, I sort of came of age in 1969. I was allowed out by myself. Boy, was that a bad idea.
Me too. Me too.
Well,
and there I was in the monkey suit. Yes. Yes.
Well, hey, we all start somewhere.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, my dear.
Tell me this. It must have been, I mean, there was such a closeness between you two. And as I read, I mean, it seems to me like you were her cheerleader aside from everything else.
Oh, I adored her. She was such a wonderful human being. Probably the sweetest person I've ever met in my life. Kind, loving, never had a nasty thing to say about anybody. She was always so sweet, and she was my soulmate. I mean, we connected like you wouldn't believe. It's as if I had known her my entire life, and it worked that way for her too. So it was just something that was meant to be, especially the way it happened. I mean, how the odds of us ever meeting were just so tremendous that
then it was meant to be.
It had to be.
Yeah. So did you live together? You did. You were together in Palm Springs also, weren't you?
Yes. We lived together from practically the time that we met until she passed away.
Well, another interesting coinky dinky is that when you were living in West Hollywood, I was in that same building. I lived at the Fountain View West. Yeah, I did.
Yes, and when I first met her, she was living on the 4th floor in Fountain View West, and then after she became ill, and things were pretty tough. We actually we decided we were going to step up, and she got a new car, and we moved to the penthouse. We were in penthouse 6.
We're moving on.
Yes,
that was it for
great.
Bonnie's singing for the day. But, Alexis,
Okay.
please hold that thought. We're going to take a break. And when we return, I want to hear more. And I think everybody else does too. So, here we go.
Since when did experience become something to hide? I say we own it. Lose all that negativity. Just let it go. It's just bad energy. Oh, and lose those terrible black balloons they give you on your 50th. What's up with that?
Hey, we hear you. That's why our members love AARP the magazine. It celebrates you with fun and provocative content, from lifestyle and entertainment to in-depth reporting. And it's just one of the great benefits of membership.
If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. Been making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I'm up for that. Well, you are tuned into the Bonnie Sher Show, Boomer Life, and I have the pleasure of speaking with author Alexis Hunter, who through this book reminded me that it really isn't so important who you love, just that you love. And I read that in your book, and it has really stuck with me. 4 years is such a short time to have such a great love.
But the great thing about it is we lived every moment. The 4 years that we had together, we were inseparable. I never left her for those 4 years. We were together 24/7. And it's as if I lived with her a full life, because most people don't have that luxury. They can't be with someone they love all the time. They have to go to work, they have to do this, they have to do that, and they're separated, but we weren't. We were together and just delighted in each other, and we had so much fun.
You tell
there
some
were rough
great
times,
stories.
but it was wonderful.
Well, the readers will be able to share in that, because you describe those times so eloquently and with such love and such fun. And I had a great time reading your book, and to get to know more. And let's go back to your title, A Body to Die For. This is a main driving force in Joy's story. A lot of us have heard stories about the studios getting their young starlets using uppers and then becoming addicted. I mean, we know that to be the Judy Garland story. We know, and unfortunately, they got her too. And then the demand for the ever-increasing bust line.
Yes.
So that if our listeners don't understand, why don't you explain the connection between that, if you would, please?
Oh, absolutely. During the time when Joy was working, and they were grooming her to be the next Monroe, and there was competition. There were other great beauties, Mamie Van Doren and other people, and Joy felt pressured. She felt pressured to be more beautiful, more sexy, more voluptuous. And at that time, I mean, it's been going on for a while, and it's still going on. That's part of the reason for writing the book. A major part is Joy. Someone told her about doctors that were injecting silicone and into body parts, into faces, into breasts, wherever, and it was instantaneous. I mean, they inject the silicone and suddenly you're bigger. And Joy had silicone injections in her breast, and it made her. I mean, she was. She was quite busty, to say the very least. But she was sexy, and people
and
loved
gorgeous,
it. And
that face, my
she was
God.
She was so beautiful.
And
in
so
fact,
sweet looking. I mean, I can remember seeing her on, wasn't it Love That Bob?
Love That Bob and the Bob Cummings show. Yeah, she was a regular. She was Bob's favorite model.
Well, and she wasn't I don't. I mean, I was a youngster, clearly, or a young woman at that time, but I don't remember ever perceiving her as being a threat of any kind. She was just
No.
lovely, and because
It's
sometimes
true.
you see a good-looking woman and you think, maybe she'll
No,
fall.
Joy.
Yeah.
And right, Joy was so sweet. She was. I don't think many people thought of her as a threat. Women didn't. Women loved her. Men loved her. She was not trashy. She wasn't. There was nothing lewd about Joy. Joy was like the girl next door who just happened to have a great body and gorgeous face.
Other than that, I mean, like the total package. Let me ask you
Something
this.
like that. Yes.
Why? I mean, I asked you on the phone, I guess it was yesterday. Your memory for detail just knocked me out. And then you gave me one of your tricks, which is, well, I kept journals. Oh, okay. So that leads now to my next question. Why now? Why did you want to
Why now?
Why do you want
Why
to
now?
release this now?
I want to stop. If I can stop one person from having silicone injections, I will be happy. Because they're doing it again, especially for transgender kids, and women are having it injected in their faces instead of Botox because it's permanent. They think it's okay, and it's not okay. And now this obsession with having gigantic booties, that's
I
silicone.
know, between the lips and the booties, you don't know you're coming or you're going here. Do they just spin
No,
you?
it's scary. To me, it's scary stuff.
No, if it hurts, don't do it to me. It's just,
Absolutely.
the face
And
is going to go where it's going to go, and it's just going to have to be that way.
Yeah, I understand.
And the rest.
The thing is, it happened to me too. I unfortunately, I was with Joy, and we went to see a doctor in New York who was doing the silicone, and probably the biggest mistake of my life is I had one silicone injection in each breast. I had really, really pretty breasts, but I wasn't thinking clearly, obviously.
But
and I had one injection.
You don't do that to yourself. I mean, how you can say who knew?
I didn't know. I didn't know from nothing, and it was so traumatic when it was being done that I panicked and I would never do it again. But that wasn't good enough. Joy died in 1972, and in 1976 I had to have bilateral mastectomy because I had terrible problems from the silicone. I was lucky. They were able to remove pretty much everything, not everything, but pretty much everything before it became malignant. It was pre-malignant, and that surgery saved my life. But I've had 5 reconstructive surgeries, and it's just been a disaster. And I still have autoimmune problems because I still have silicone in my body because it migrates. It moves all over the place, and they can't get it. So I'm dealing with that. So that's a major part of the reason for writing the book. I want to stop them, and I want them to see what happened to a beautiful woman like Joy.
Right.
Just trying to be beautiful, trying to be something to keep her career going because of all the pressure in Hollywood.
Absolutely. Alexis, please let our audience know how they can buy the book, where they can buy the book. Oh, speaking of the book one more time, I happened to peruse Amazon just to look at some of the reviews. If any of my listeners want to get an idea and know that it's not just me saying these lovely things, that there are a lot of people who have purchased her book, Alexis Hunter's book, and they are saying wonderful things as well, so I know I'm on the right track. So yes, you're available on Amazon. And how else can people reach out to find out more about you and more? I know you're on Facebook.
Yes, I am. I'm also on Instagram and also on Twitter. I'm not as active on Twitter at this point, but I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. And it's just Ms. Alex Hunter or Alexis Hunter.
Gets confusing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
Between
it
Rachel
sure does.
and I mean, I had to really keep up with the names.
It's not easy, is it?
I remember once sitting around thinking that I was going to change my name once. I just couldn't figure out what to call myself and if I would remember the next day what I had chosen. I never was crazy about the name Bonnie.
I know.
Anyway,
yeah,
thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, Alexis. All the best with this and with everything you do.
Thank
one
you.
of my favorite things about doing this show is coming in contact with people like yourself. You're just delightful. And the book, one more time, is Joy Lansing, A Body to Die For.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Alexis. As we go to break, I'd like to acknowledge the important work of the Diabetes Research Institute and encourage you to support their efforts. You can visit them online at diabetesresearch.org. Our song of the day is coming up next, Money by Thos Shipley.
Type 1 diabetes can be living in anyone.
Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't produce insulin. It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
Type 1 diabetes can be very serious.
Blindness, amputation.
Learn more about type 1 diabetes.
Help support JDRF finding a cure.
T1D looks like my brother.
T1D looks like a friend.
Type 1 diabetes looks like me.
Made it, can't date it. Most people want it, few hate it. Can't eat it, can't love it. Drive you crazy thinking of it. Can't taste it, can't chew it. Easy to waste it, I'll show you how to do it. Can't talk to it like a friend, and you can't take it with you in the end. Can't make it laugh, but it can make you cry. Won't mourn for you when you die. Though we all need it, we can't even feed it. Money. Now, I had a love, and I had lots of money. And when that was gone, well, so was my honey. Ain't that some stuff? Can't mate it, can't date it. Most people want it, few hate it. Can't talk to it like a friend, and you can't take it with you in the end. Won't tell you jokes when you're in pain. Lord, trying to get it will drive you insane. And just when you make some, the government comes and takes some. It's enough to drain your brain. Can't cook it, can't bake it, got to make it. It's illegal to fake it. It's caused many a downfall. It's just paper and metal after all. Money. Don't I ever have any? Won't tell you jokes when you're in pain. Lord, trying to get it will drive you insane. And just when you make some, the government comes and takes some. It's enough to drain your brain. Can't cook it, can't bake it, got to make it. I said it's illegal to fake it, 'cause cause many a downfall. It's just paper and metal after all. L-O-N-E-Y. Don't I ever have any? L-O-N-E-Y. L-O-N-E-Y. Me.
Wow. He is something. Fashika. Well, welcome back to the Bonnie Sher Show, and my co-host for this segment is Cassidy Robinson, originally from here in California, now living in the great state of New York. Hello, Cassidy.
Hey, Bonnie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Cassidy, thank you for joining us. I know that you too live with type 1 diabetes. Can you share your story with us, please?
Of course. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 2 years old. So I've lived nearly my entire life with type 1. It's been my ever-present companion. And I am riding with a group of cyclists this summer from New York to San Francisco to raise awareness.
Raise awareness, raise your blood pressure, my goodness. And the name of this event is?
We are Bike Beyond. It's being coordinated by Beyond Type 1, which is a nonprofit.
And how did you find out about it? What drew you into this? And what were you thinking?
It runs in the craziness runs in my family.
Well, I think it runs in type 1 too, but that's another story for another show.
So Beyond Type 1 is an organization that I have been following basically since its inception 2 years ago. And they utilize social media to advocate and educate for type 1s. And they had a social media post on November 1st of last year with a call for applicants for this bike ride, this epic journey this summer. And I don't think the post was up for more than 5 minutes before I told my boss I had to call my grandmother, ran to the roof, and filmed an application video.
Wow. And how long is the ride? I mean, I know how far it is. I mean, how long are they giving you to do this?
So we are riding,
does ever work for you?
We're riding just over 4,200 miles in 10 weeks. So, yeah, we're going to be on the road for 70 days this summer.
I'm sorry, I'm speechless. You stopped my little Bonnie clock. Well, good for you. Approximately how many other no, not crazy people. How many other interested folks are going to be doing this?
A little crazy, definitely motivated. We are a team of 22 people living with type 1 diabetes. So there are 21 of us who actually have type 1. And one of us, Cheryl, is the mother of one of my type 1 teammates.
That's amazing. Do you travel with, are there people who are with you who are just there to keep an eye on how you're doing physically? Or do you kind of all watch out for one another? Or has anybody talked about that?
So
there could
we
be some
are self-supported, which means that it is the 22 of us looking out for one another every single day.
That's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of this. Also the fundraising event. And what rocks your world and when you're not riding bicycles across the country?
Well, I'm not a cyclist at all, actually. I've owned one bicycle in my entire life, and it was my grandmother's 30-year-old Schwinn. So I'm actually not a cyclist. I enjoy hiking, backpacking. I'm a reader and a music lover, but I love the outdoors. So I like endurance activities. I like the outdoors. So this is not a surprise to my family and friends that know me, but it's definitely the biggest athletic undertaking I've ever tried to achieve in my life.
I'm seriously now. I can't even imagine that. I mean, maybe from New York City to the Catskills, but no, not to San Francisco, is it?
To San Francisco. Yep.
Well, I may have to go up to San Francisco and greet y'all when you get there.
Yes.
Yeah, I could
we
do that.
Have, we're
I can
having a
drive
party
in the car.
I would like to get you on a bicycle for the first time ever.
Now, that would truly be news at 11. Yeah, no, we're not going to break a perfectly good Bonnie. No, I'll tell you, no, never did it. Never did it. Oh, well, what's the girl to do? Okay, so let's go back to talking a little bit more about you. And I realize you want to get the word out about the ride, but is there anything else, Cassidy, that comes from your T1D life, either a trick that you found or something just ticks you off that, or anything that you'd like to talk about that you would like to bring to our community?
It's so 24 years now as a type 1. And what I found to be my trick is embracing it. I lived in denial of this disease for the majority of my life. It wasn't until 3 years ago, really, that I kind of said, like, this is my reality. I'm going to make the absolute best of it that I can. I finally decided I was going on an insulin pump after years of my doctor recommending it to me, and decided I was going to join the community. And I went to the JDRF Type 1 Nation Summit in Orange County 2 years ago, and I met Joanne Milo there. And meeting Joanne that day completely changed
she's
my
a phenomenal
perspective.
Force in our community.
She is I adore that woman. I really do. So along with Joanne's support, with the support of GNO in Orange County, I took the leap into deciding that I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to proclaim it. I will advocate. I will do whatever I can for the community. I will learn as much as I can. I became heavily involved in the diabetes online community. So now I can actually say, after years, over 20 years of living with diabetes, I could finally say that I had a type 1 friend, which is unbelievable to me. It's completely changed my management.
That's my story too. That's my story too. I'm coming up on 50 years next year. And through all these years, I only knew one other, personally, face to face, had only met one T1. And then I got bored and I found Facebook, and it was like, wow, look at this. And it's really the reason that I do this show. There's a lot of speak, I believe, about children with diabetes, but not so much when you've been in it for a while. Things change. That same dosage that worked for you 2 days ago, the same exact meal plan, everything is the same, and your numbers, it's like you borrowed them from somebody else and it was a bad idea.
It happened to me yesterday.
And but who else can it takes a one to know a one. I've even said to my endo, you might know a whole lot about the medicine of diabetes, I said, but one thing that you aren't and you will never be is a T1.
It's so true. I love my endocrinologist. I love my care team. I had a great care team in California. I have a wonderful care team here in New York. But
are you being seen in Manhattan?
I'm being seen in Manhattan, and the best person on my team is my dietitian because she is a 34-year type 1 diabetic. She gets it.
I have a friend living in the city who's now been diagnosed as type 2. And this is a woman who was the head nurse of the open heart team at Mount Sinai. She's recently retired. And so when you hear about people who don't have diabetes types 1 or 2, they don't really understand where they are. And when she tells me what her A1Cs are, She's being seen by the same internist who has cared for her for 50-something years. He is not an endocrinologist. And I would like to maybe have a conversation with you when we're off the air. Maybe you can help me find. She needs a dietitian desperately.
Oh, I got her down. Colette is her woman.
Well, you see what you live and learn here on the Bonnie Sher Show, and you're not even a boomer yet, you sweet woman. Before I let you go, please let people know how they can follow you and follow your ride and all that good stuff and prepare. Now, are you going to do little meet and greets along the way or along the route, or are you just going to keep on trucking and have a party when you get to San Francisco?
We're definitely going to keep on trucking. Being named after a Grateful Dead song, that was perfectly fitting for me. We actually do have 6 events throughout the 10 weeks.
Okay, well, if you would be so kind, you'll put those up on Facebook. I'll grab them also, and I will keep the word going, because to have some people out there rooting for you and maybe bringing you a sandwich wouldn't be a bad idea.
I'll take a brownie any day.
Oh, have you seen those new things now? They're just the brownie tops.
No.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I don't want to do an ad because they didn't pay me, but they're really good.
I have to go to the grocery store now.
Go to D'Agostino's. I bet they have them. Oh, I miss New York. Okay. So, how are you to be found? Now, does Beyond Type 1 also do a post on it?
Yeah, so we as a team are all over the internet. So the kind of core of Beyond Type 1 is social media. So there's a lot going on Instagram. So there's the Beyond Type 1 Instagram, Beyond Type 1 Daily Instagram, my own Instagram, Cassidy Jaye with a little underscore.
I thought I was seeing double. I saw that. What does she mean?
And then we actually have a team
on
Twitter
Facebook,
account.
are you Cassidy J or Cassidy Robinson on Facebook?
I'm Cassidy Robinson on Facebook.
Okay, great. So we've got that. Well, Cassidy, thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to hearing from you, and maybe we can get a scoop even by phone.
Yes, I would love to call you.
As you all are trucking across our nation. Cassidy, thank you so much for sharing your time and your incredible strength. You're wonderful. Come back and see us soon, and all the best to you. Listen, if any of the rest of you... Wait for your cue, Bonnie. I've only been doing this for a year and a half. I should know to wait. But seriously, folks, if any of you other Type 1s would like to be my co-host on this show and share with our audience what your feelings about Type 1 or tricks that you've learned or things that you think are just despicable, I love those. It's very simple. Send me an email. Just Bonnie@BonnieSher.com, and we'll make it happen. I promise you. Painless and quick. So, thanks for being with us. Now, next up is going to be my boomer news and some views from my soapbox. Back in 60 seconds.
I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a social worker. When I found out that I had hepatitis C, I was a single mother, and I was absolutely terrified.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, estimates there are close to 3 million baby boomers infected with hepatitis C. Because there can be no symptoms for decades, most don't even know it. But if detected in time, Hep C can be cured, and the treatment is simple.
Today I feel great. I'm a healthy 65-year-old. I bike to work. I go to the gym, and I've cleared the virus.
The CDC is urging everybody born between 1945 and 1965 to get tested. It's an easy one-time blood test that may be covered by insurance.
I got a disease that could have killed me, but I saved my own life by getting tested.
Don't wait. Ask your doctor about getting tested for Hep C, because knowing is everything.
Today's Boomer News comes to us from the Consumer Watchdog.
What I'd like to see is a private system without the artificial lines around every state. We have to get rid of the lines around the states so that there's serious competition.
We're joined now by Dana Christensen. Her late husband's cancer-related medical bills left her about $500,000 in debt, despite the fact that he had insurance purchased through Mega Life. Did the agent deceive you?
Absolutely. He declared under penalty of perjury that he was trained to misrepresent the policy.
She and her husband, Doug, had been technically insured, yet she was left with $450,000 in unpaid medical bills when her husband died of bone cancer. It was a classic case of junk insurance.
It was a shock that forced them to consider a terrible choice.
He asked me to divorce him. He said, Dana, you know, we're up to $500,000 in medical bills. You know, you have to think about the finances here. And I said, I'm not going to divorce my husband because he's ill. So the watchdogs asked me to go to Washington, D.C. and Sacramento to speak out to legislature and Congress. At the time, there was a bill on the Senate floor that if it passed, the insurance policy like Doug and I had, the junk insurance policy, would become normal in this country. And it was very, very close. But I'm happy to say we got that bill knocked off the Senate floor.
Now the views from my soapbox, which is my take on who got it right and who should really be ashamed. So let's start out with, I'd like to give a shout out to Broadway actress and jazz singer Terry White. Terry's fighting a rare blood disease. This was reported in Broadway World this week. You've probably or may have seen Terry in the last revival of Follies on Broadway. Other credits included Barnum, Ain't Misbehavin'. She was Nell Carter's understudy in the original 1978 production. Welcome to the Club, Finian's Rainbow, both of which garnered her Drama Desk and Outers Critics Circle nominations in 2010. Then there was the show Steppin' Out at Radio City with Liza Minnelli. And also her wonderful role as Mama Morton in Chicago. Please give her a prayer. She needs our help. She would do it for us and has. Please keep Terry in your heart and in your thoughts. I'd personally appreciate it. Now, my shout down. Here's a story for you. This one was reported in the countercurrentnews.com. This story is titled, Oklahoma Lawmaker, Men Must Approve Abortion. Women are hosts. Well, there's this fellow named Representative Justin Humphrey, and he's an Oklahoma state legislator, and he's sponsoring, which could be called nothing but a draconian bill known as HB 1441 that would require a woman to get written permission from her sexual partner if she wants to have an abortion. I think you're barking up the wrong Oklahoma right now. Anyway, before we say goodbye, I want to thank my guests who have been phenomenal with me today. Two great ladies. One, author of Joy Lansing-A Body to Die For, and that is the lovely Alexis Hunter. And my new friend, Cassidy Robinson. I wish you all the best with that ride, and I want to hear all about it. Well, that's our show for today, and I hope you'll return next week for another 50-minute trip through the land of Bonnie, through the world of entertainment, could be through the market. No, probably not. And the T1D community, you laugh. Until then, please visit BonnieSher.com. Don't forget, if you want to be my T1 co-host, that's your way in. Also, you can follow the #1 Bonnie Sher on Twitter and like the Bonnie Sings Lena Facebook fan page. Many of you are aware by now of the very special relationship that I had with Sammy Davis Jr. and the role that he played in my life. He was my mentor and he was my friend. So I like to end this show Carol Burnett style, with a nod and a wink to Mr. D. And one more thing, and this is a happy birthday in heaven to Joy Lansing. Today, April the 6th. See you next week.